Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Today is May 27th, 2023. It's been a very fun year. I think we've really enjoyed it all together, and we've gotten so much done so far. Got Lobster on the mic, having some fun. Got my coffee right here. I figured we are long overdue for an AMA, huh? You know, I run 6 companies, and all of them do different things from bison ranching to, uh, synthetic biology to medicine, and I had probably one of the best moments this month where I had a chance to go up to my clinic, that we've been building for 18 months now in Gillette, Wyoming, just off of Highway 50, Hoskinson Health and Wellness. It's a primary care facility, but the long aim is to do clinical research for anti-aging longevity and come up with protocols to make us all healthier. If you haven't noticed, I'm a little overweight, not exactly the healthiest person around. So I'm making a real good investment in my health and trying to look at everything from stem cells to peptides to the latest and greatest ways to improve sleep. For example, recently got an Aura ring, and I've been using a device called ExcitOSA, and I've been treating my sleep apnea with it, and already seen a considerable improvement in my apnea score, the AHI, and not having any major events anymore at night. Pretty good pulse ox all throughout the night. And this is really the amazing thing is when one focuses on curative medicine instead of just ongoing lingering treatments. One of the biggest issues in the American healthcare system is its fetish with treating things. You come in, you get a pill, you get an injection, you get something, and you stay on it for as long as they can possibly keep you on it. And there's not a really good market to actually cure stuff. So it was a lot of fun to actually go to my clinic and see something that long term is going to focus on the cures instead of the treatments and getting people through. Whether it be stuff like using psychedelics in treatments for mental health, or it be transcranial magnetic stimulation, or it be all kinds of things like electrical stimulation of the tongue for sleep apnea, to get people through and get them to a better state. So I'm real proud of that. And I think that it's one of those long arc plays that's going to take years and years and years to fully realize. But every year we're making great progress. It was kind of a dream on a whiteboard 18 months ago. And to actually walk into a facility and already have 3,000 patients at that facility and physicians working there and compound pharmacists and lab people and already research partnerships and relationships with different universities and institutes, and the ability to do clinical research is just so much fun. And what was the best part was to see just the sheer appreciation and kindness from the community of Gillette and broader Campbell County. It was just extraordinary to see how many people showed up for the grand opening. Over 700. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a town of less than 30,000 people. So basically, the majority of the town came while it was raining to go see the opening of a health clinic. Not exactly the most exciting thing in the world. But everybody had smiles. Everybody was excited. And they were very appreciative of having the opportunity to have a different form of healthcare that hopefully in the long term makes everybody in that town a lot healthier. And then we can apply that towards the broader healthcare system. Now, as you build things, you learn things. And one of the things that I've learned is how primitive and backward the software that runs the healthcare industry in America is. We have an electronic medical record system. It is a constant pain and struggle to get it plugged in to work with other things, basic things that you'd like to have. In fact, only recently did they enable two-factor authentication. I can't think of anything that's more personal than your health records. And for that not to be protected by two-factor authentication by a major EMR is pretty extraordinary to me. And the desire to have walled gardens everywhere. So I do believe in the coming years, there's going to be an open source revolution for healthcare software. And I do believe that concepts that have come out of the cryptocurrency space could be applied in the health industry. In particular, I really believe that the technology we're building for Midnight that preserves data privacy and confidentiality can absolutely be applied to a EMR system. I also do believe that there's a great potential for concepts like the Fediverse and the recent app protocol that's replacing ActivityPub that the Twitter replacement that Jack Dorsey's working on could definitely be a useful play for medical record systems because at the end of the day, it's a very similar model. You have servers that need to talk to each other and users that need to migrate between those servers. DIDs and self-sovereign identity is not integrated in any sense in the EMR world, but absolutely could be. And I think it's very prudent for us to explore how to apply these new technologies into the industry. So, in addition to innovations on the treatment of things, I do think there's going to be a great blockchaining and a great open sourcing of the healthcare industry software system, and that's long, long overdue. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that opening, and it's been a little while since we've had an AMA, and this show is not about me. It's about you and your questions. So let's get to it. HIPAA is serious business. Yes, sir, it is. And whole industry's been formed around it for better or for worse. As a front desk worker in a family care center in Chile, it makes me deeply happy to hear your compromise with health and creating a place where answers will be clearly given. Absolutely. And actually, I think AI is going to have one of the biggest impacts ever on healthcare in its entire history. It's absolutely extraordinary to see what Glass Health and GPT and these other systems are doing. I do have a lot of concerns, and certainly there's issues with hallucination and exactly how and where people apply AI, but generative AI is going to be a big, big deal for healthcare, and we're really excited. Well, this is a new one. Hi, Charles. I have my salary paid in ADA. Well, thank you so much. I have one question. Thank you for what you do. Can you tell me your thoughts on the Carrington event that happened in 1859 and if it happens again? I believe the Carrington event was the solar flare that knocked out all the telegraph wires. Let me fact check that if I think it's right. Carrington event. Yes. Let's see here. So the Carrington event was the most intense geomagnet storm in recorded history, peaking between the 1st and 2nd of September of 1959 during a solar cycle 10. It created a strong auroral displays that were reported globally and caused sparking and even fires on multiple telegraph stations. The geomagnetic storm was most likely the result of a CME, which is a coronal mass ejection from the sun colliding with Earth's magnetosphere. So the problem with an event like that, and that's a great question. I read about it years ago, and I just couldn't remember the name of it. But the problem with this is that in 1859, the only real electronic stuff that we had were telegraphs. We had a few other things that potentially would be impacted by a CME, but for the most part, it just roasted some telegraph wires. Well, now that the entire world is highly digital, a lot of people believe that if we had an equivalent event today, it would destroy most of our satellite communications and badly damage a lot of our digital infrastructure in the world. So, this is the equivalent of a global blackout where the stuff doesn't come back on, and the things you use to fix the things would also be damaged. So the impact could be a complete unraveling of the modern society if something like this occurred. Now, you can obviously mitigate it by having electronics that are shielded from the consequences of a CME, but most electronics are not and would not be. So certain systems would probably survive, but the most systems would be badly damaged. And the problem is that these types of events, these geomagnetic storms, they aren't exactly infrequent things. The majority of human history, we didn't care because they'd come up once a century or twice a century, and we would just see pretty lights in the sky, like aurora borealis on steroids. And who cares? You move on. But the issue is that this is the first 2 centuries, the 20th and the 21st, where we've had substantial domination of our lives by electronics, and electronics are quite vulnerable to things like the Carrington event. So, it is something that we need to really think about, and we need to actually, harden our electronics and our systems for, but it also shows you the power of decentralization. If you are very centralized and a terrible event happens, everything goes down. If you have redundancy, resilience, and the ability to replicate and restore from one node to all the other nodes, you can recover quickly from these types of events. So you design your way out of these types of things. Is World Mobile Token still building? Yes, sir, they are. In fact, we need to do Twitter Space with Mickey. I love Mickey. He's a good friend. Can you still show us all the writing devices in your pocket? I got my pen. It's right here. Will Hoskinson Health have an echocardiograph department? And do you have someone running it? Yes, we do. Charles, help out fat boys like me. Well, I tell you what, how about I treat myself before I can say I can treat you? Think you'd ever oop, think you'd ever go on a month-long fast? Actually, we are gonna study long-term fasting protocols, and so I own actually a hotel in Gillette as well that we've been refurbishing for, long-term stay for workers, but also for experiments to be conducted, and so sleep studies, fasting protocols, and mental health treatment we can do, at that facility that we're building up. Before the end of the year, what I'd like to do is start exploring if we could look at what the True North Foundation is doing with their 40-day extended fast, if there's a way to actually construct a proper series of tests and do weekly DEXA scans and pretty comprehensive lab panels, and do a supervised extended water fast and study different refeeding protocols. And also, they do some wonky things at True North, like no electrolytes, and I just don't understand that. So that's definitely something we're going to look into a bit. Charles, what's the hardest life lesson you've learned? That's a great question, and it's something I wish people would ask more of. I think there's two parts to that. One is you have to be patient and allow things to go at their pace. I'm a very impatient guy. I want everything today. And it's what makes me a good entrepreneur because I'm always pushing people to their limits, pushing people to be their best, pushing for things to be at their most extreme. And that's a good thing for progress. But there are things we can control as human beings, and there are things we can't control as human beings. And change can only happen so quickly. And the wisest amongst us have a pretty good sense of what is optional and what is mandatory in terms of change. I'd say that's one big life lesson that has taken me quite a bit of time to appreciate. Now, the other thing is trying to find the best parts in people, even though you find people utterly distasteful. Lincoln used to say, I dislike this man, so I don't know him enough, to paraphrase him. And that is something that we're not taught. We're taught to have enemies, tribes. We're taught to dislike people or like people. And if they're the other, go after them. And to try to see the best in people that you disagree with, compete with, or in some cases have even harmed you, that's a very hard lesson. It's very difficult for people to build relationships that way. But I've noticed every single time I've indulged that thinking, been a lot happier, and I've felt a lot better about life. So the patience to let things come in their due time, and then the acceptance of people for who they are, not who you want them to be, and the ability to see the best in them, I think, are the hardest and most difficult life lessons because you never truly learn them. You have to relearn them again and again and again and again and again. And every day is a reset in certain respects. Um, there's also, I would say, a realization that the most toxic relationship that people tend to have in life is with themselves. You see, there's all this stuff like from Gottman about how good relationships are supposed to be. And he writes books like The Science of Trust and talks about a tune and the bid and these concepts that give you the ability to relate and interact with people. And we think we're doing a good job when we start purging toxic people out of our lives and welcoming in people in our lives that are non toxic. And we start engaging in productive, constructive behavior. But then we don't apply that standard into our self assessment. So you enter into this relationship where you don't allow yourself to enjoy the fruits of your labors, your great accomplishments, or the things you've done. For example, let's say you're in a big workout program and you're working hard and you put a lot of effort in and you only lose 1 pound in a week. And a lot of people say, "Oh, that's terrible. Why am I so fat and so stupid and this and that?" You losing 1 pound a week, that's 50 pounds a year. That's a lot of weight, right? It's not bad. So why would you beat yourself up? You put in the work, you did. You put in the effort, and at least you're moving in the right direction, or at least you're not moving in the wrong direction. And that's a pretty good week. You're still above ground. But why is it okay for you to be so self-critical and hurt yourself like that? I think that's the deepest and the toughest life lesson for all of us is that the most toxic relationships tend to be with ourselves. And we have to find a way to get out of that thinking and that neuroses. And we have to get into a position where we love ourselves. And people say, well, that's narcissism. Actually, narcissism is caused by the absence of self love. That's why people develop narcissistic tendencies externally. If they were confident internally and had self love internally, there would be no reason to radiate narcissism. Hey, Charles, do you think we can create an ICD-10 world platform to process medical claims under the Cardano blockchain? I think you can use AI to do a lot of that. And the blockchain component can be about the access control and ownership, as well as the brokering of relationships and exchanges of information. Yes, what's the correct way to pronounce Cardano? Cardano. Cardano. How's Ergo? Really do love the ecosystem, the community. They're great people, and they are building hard. Any Ethiopia news? Slow and steady wins the race. They're still getting kids in, getting it done. Charles, with an increasing ease of creating deepfake AI generated media, do you see a future where blockchain technology has to be used to verify videos, images, recordings are legitimate? Yes. I think in a world of deepfakes, we are going to need to have a verification system. What I believe is we are going to migrate from basically a world of we see something with our eyes and we believe it to we see something with our eyes and we believe it's false until proven true. So everything is going to move into a whitelisted with an automatic blacklist in terms of veracity mindset. Within the next 12 to 24 months, indistinguishable video and audio will be possible for the most part. So you will see videos of Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump and Joe Biden murdering kids and doing horrible things. And they're fake, but you'll see them. They'll just exist, and people will make them, and nation states will make them. United States will make them for other nation states to discredit and dissuade people, and it's going to spread like wildfire. And people are going to upclick the things that they like and downclick the things that they don't, but they will spread and you be used as instruments of polarization. So the only way to get out of it is to have verified information, verified content. So at the time of creation, you need to create an NFT and sign it and have some chain of evidence that that was created on a legitimate device. It's almost like that Star Trek episode in DS9 where Garrick and Cisco partner up to create a forgery of a holographic recording for the Cardassians in the Dominion plotting to take on the Romulans, and they recorded on this optolithic data rod that's like a one-time recording, and it's used for archiving in Cardassia. And they get this real expert holographic engineer to come in the Roman Center, well, they're based on Rome. The Romulan senator, he says, "It's a fake," right? But then they kill him, and then they think the Romulans recover the rod, and they think the imperfections were caused by the explosion. Well, anyway, that's like what's happening. We actually have to start talking about how do we know something is not a fake because we can create fakes that are indistinguishable from real life, and it's going to a whole emerging area of technology. AI, generative AI proof watermarking. Can you please update us on the Avi Loeb project? I am going to go look for aliens soon to an undisclosed location at an undisclosed time, but sooner than you think. And hopefully we're going to be able to find something. And maybe, just maybe, a documentary is going to be made by a certain company. Can't say anything more. Charles, do you view Ozempic as a net positive, even though it's not a cure? That's one of those weight loss peptides. Yeah, it's a diabetes drug that they're using off-label for weight loss, and it's an amazing thing. Semaglutide and the rest of the family, and they're just extraordinary. You inject them 25 to 50 milliliters once a week, and then you just ratchet up over time. It slows the emptying of the stomach. It regulates your insulin. And it makes you less hungry. And usually people who go on it, they lose a lot of weight pretty quickly. So it's pretty good. It's certainly a lot better than the lap band surgeries and the other things that people do for weight loss. Can we be immortal from a biological sense? Yes, because there already exist creatures which are. And you say, but Charles, what type of creature would be immortal? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me show you. Actually really cool, and I got a picture of him right here. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Wah. And let me just go ahead and open this up for you guys. I just feel your excitement. Ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. What's the best way? We'll open that in a new tab. Oh, I can get a better picture than that. Come on now. Size. I want a large picture, like really exciting large picture. Oh, God, yeah, that is a sexy, sexy picture. Oh, you guys are very excited about this, I can tell. I just feel it radiating. All of you are just waiting with bated breath at your keyboards. Let's see here. And then we're going to go over here and everybody's favorite reference. Here we go. Okay, you guys ready? You fired up? No, I'm not actually rick and rolling you. So this is a creature that we know to be biologically immortal. Wow! It's a jellyfish. Teratopsis dorni. Sorry, I wish I spoke that language. Is also known as an immortal jellyfish, a species of small, biologically immortal jellyfish found worldwide in temperate to tropical waters. It's one of the few known cases of animals capable of reverting completely to a sexually immature state. How about that? So basically, when they get old, they form a cyst and regenerate themselves and become young again. It's pretty cool. And actually, here's the whole genomic analysis and biological immortality. And that's what they look like. This little guy floating around the ocean can be 500,000 years old. Just keeps going on and on and on. So if such a creature exists, we just have to study this part, the genome of it, and figure out why and how. And then the key is, how do we get here? And with all this AI we have floating around, we're actually going to figure that out. Does Hoskinson Health offer hyperbaric oxygen therapy? Yes, sir, it does. We will have a multi-place hyperbaric chamber probably operating in Q1 of next year. We have to build all of it, and we're waiting for the chamber to be completed. We also have been working a lot on the PATH program because while it trains physicians for desk research, it doesn't have a strong clinical component. So we've been working on how do you get enough clinical hours to ensure that people are safely trained to use hyperbaric oxygen therapy. The research we're interested in is combining HBOT with stem cells. We think there's going to be a really synergistic effect, and we're going to look at that for traumatic brain injuries. So that'll be fun. Hey, Charles, thoughts on doing psilocybin studies with veterans to help with anxiety, PTSD with the organizations? Been reading a lot of great studies and very positive results so far. Yes, most of them are by MAPS, and they have a great conference in Denver that's coming up next month We definitely, when the FDA reschedules from 1 to 3, we'll integrate that into the clinical practice for mental health treatment. Usually, if you read the papers, the protocols are very different. It's not like they to come over for an hour for a week and talk about your feelings. What they do is they give you a drug like MDMA or psilocybin. You spend 6 to 8 hours a day for 3 days in intensive therapy, and then you move on. But where and when it works, it is curative and magical. That's freaking insane. Well, yeah, nature's cool, guys. Wait till I tell you about my glow in the dark plants. How about that? Had to get fingerprinted twice at the same place for two separate reasons within 3 months, yet background check had to be done by Homeland Security orgs. Don't communicate the process outdated. Absolutely. My God, that's one thing that definitely needs a big improvement. Do you have any endocrinologists? We are definitely looking for a few. Are you hiring pharmacists? We do have a compound pharmacist. We may need a few more at some point. Yeah, but will there be chamber music? Yeah. Yo, we're going to do Brain FM, yo. Get some music there. Actually, Brain FM is pretty cool. That's a service I recently subscribed to. Let me show you guys. Wah, wah. You learn about jellyfish today. You're learning about brains. You see, this is fun. This is what AMAs are supposed to be about. We're very diverse. So this is an interesting company. It was founded by some dudes out of Harvard, and basically what they do is they construct music that can be used to assist you in learning, deep focus, or in relaxation. And they've actually used fMRI studies to show what the music does. And they've written numerous papers, and they have a pretty interesting team. Like Kevin J.P. Woods is out of Harvard, and they got some weirdo French dude and a few other people at Northeastern. So I've just subscribed, and I'm gonna play around, try around with what they have. It'd be really cool to mix that with the kernel flow and see what comes up. Well, that's the other nice part about having a clinic like this is that we can actually look into your brain and do scans and all these things, and we know your deepest, darkest secrets. Have you read it? What is Brian Johnson does for anti-aging? Yeah, he has something, Project something something, and the name will come to me in a moment. But basically, he is spending $2 million a year, and he's turned over. And I've even called him and talked to him about this. He's an interesting guy, but he's spending $2 million a year to basically rebuild himself and try to get biologically younger year by year. And he's actually making meaningful progress on it. Everything from red light therapy to this insane low calorie vegan diet, all kinds of stuff. And we wish him well, but I think that we probably don't have to be as invasive for it. I'm a big fan of Mark Hyman's work, and I think he has a slightly more graceful way to help people live a little longer. But if you're Brian Johnson, you're a billionaire and you can burn $2 million a year to be a Greek god, go ahead and go for it. How's Legends of Valor? Actually, quite well. There's a lot of technology that I'm waiting to kind of get to the next level before I start full-time development. In particular, I think one more graphics generation and generative AI to get just a little bit better for algorithmically generated music and chatbots. I think probably in the next 12 months, the AI will be in a position where the AI can generate the entire backstory of an NPC that you meet, randomly generate the NPC, use modern graphics engines to make them look incredibly amazing. And actually, when you engage with them, you can have a real life dialogue with them. At that point, I get very excited. And then generative AI can also be assisting in the story development as well as contradictions or issues and help create a better narration like a dungeon master would. So we're almost there. And I just haven't had the time to work on it quite yet. But we've been tracking and following a whole bunch of technologies that have been floating around, and it's going to be fun to roll them all up. But I want to do the whole banana, non-Euclidean geometry. I want to do stuff where you can manipulate the laws of physics, and you have zero gravity or low gravity or high gravity. really novel and innovative magic system, a good alchemy system, a good crafting system, as well as a really beautiful plot. I've written some of the plot for the game. I know how it ends, and I have a pretty good idea of how the NPCs are going to work. And I'm a big fan of Larian Studios and what they've been doing with Baldur's Gate 3, and I like that system a lot. So I think the whole Divinity series and what they've done is a good inspiration for how to do a game properly. But you also have to build it in a game world, and the problem is Wizards of the Coast has gone off the damn deep end, as woke as it gets, and they've destroyed all the magic in that world. And so, as well, I'm a real big fan of the Forgotten Realms series. Uh, the good old days are over. I have to create a new game world to embed it within, but we'll get there. Love you, Charles. Thank you for doing good things. Well, thank you for being part of the community. Hi, what are your thoughts about the metabolic theory of cancer? So there are some people that think cancer is a metabolic disorder, usually connected somehow to the mitochondria, not a genetic disorder. That runs against the orthodoxy of cancer research for the last century. And also, it doesn't make a lot of sense given that some cancer vaccines are starting to work and they're based on the genetic theory of cancer. I'm not an oncologist or a cancer expert, but from all of the cancer research we've done, looked at, I don't see how that theory makes a lot of sense. There's some statements that, well, if you just change your diet, you do certain things, that somehow this will cure cancer. And there's lots of YouTube videos floating around for it. I think there's merit from the perspective that changing your diet, especially a low glucose diet for certain cancers, could be helpful because it starves the tumors, not because there's a mitochondrial dysfunction and it's a metabolic disease. But there's the lovely Scientologist, Dr. Berg, or whatever his name is, that chiropractor that loves to pretend to be a physician, and he certainly talks about it with authority, and others do as well. But I think it's much more on the genetic side. It makes sense, and we know that because we can cause cancers and things just by tinkering with their genes, and we do it all the time as researchers with rats and mice and labs. If it was metabolic disorder, then you could do that, uh, but okay. But that's the problem with the internet, is that people live in chambers and they amplify and amplify and amplify, and then it creates all kinds of harm. And then conspiracy theory thinking starts coming in. It is not a conspiracy theory to believe that pharmaceutical companies are very incentivized to work on slightly better chemotherapy drugs than they are to work on cures. But at the same time, you can believe that, but also believe that cancer is genetic in origin. Neuralink approved for human trials. Are you planning to get one eventually, Charles? Oh, no, 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 no. I do not want a read write device inserted into my brain in an age when people think CBDCs are a good idea. Charles, what are your thoughts on Colorado and Minnesota right to repair bills and the SCOTUS decision, Tyler versus Hennepin, the property rights making news? The right to repair is one of those things that is just obvious. And I remember, I got a story for you guys, story time. So when I was a kid, my grandfather on my mom's side, my maternal grandfather, his name's Austin. He's still around, but he's old. He's in his mid 90s now. Fought in the Korean War and was a lineman in the cable business before he retired. But one of the craftiest guys you'll ever meet, and could fix anything. Got electrical problem, got a drywall problem, got a plumbing problem. Austin can fix it. So his generation, when they bought a vacuum cleaner, they bought anything. Everything you buy, it came with schematics on how to fix them. So I was helping clean out his garage, and he had stuff from the 50s and 40s and other things. And I would see this vacuum cleaner. I open it up, and there's detailed schematics in the user manual and instructions on how to change wiring and fix things. And I say, "Was this common?" He said, "Yeah, you would not buy something back then unless you knew how to fix it, or you had access to the manuals and other things to fix it." There was a whole supply chain for these types of things. It's just common thinking that we had in that generation. Now, fast forward to 2023, And nearly everything you purchase is made with planned obsolescence, and you're supposed to throw it away. So this is a self-contained unit, the cell phone. It's really, really hard to fix it. Even those cell phone repair guys, there's not much they can do. They can change a cracked screen. Even that's hard. We can't change the battery. It's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to change the camera. It's just you make it and forget about it. And when it's done, it's done. You throw it away. So the right to repair is basically saying we have to go back to where we were, where when you make things, you have to have the ability to fix those things. And in some cases, companies have gone the extra mile where that not only have they've made it difficult to fix, they actually punish you for fixing it, where it damages or destroys the device, voids the warranty, or other things. So right to repair gives you the right to repair things. And I think it is a very important consumer protection, and it's something that we as consumers should have preferences towards. Unfortunately, we tend to buy and consume the things that are not good for us. Project Blueprint was Brian Johnson's. That's correct. So if you Google Project Blueprint, we can do that right now. It's actually pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Here we go. All right, you get to see sexy, sexy Brian Johnson. Very sexy. Wah! Blue. All right, so here's this guy. This is 40s. How about that? Okay, so every single day, he's just going at it, and he's publishing all of his results and checking himself every single day. And he talks about his entire regimen. I think he's now like stealing blood from his son and doing that. So there you go. And he says goal alignment, autonomous self, and the zeroth principle. And there you go. Look at him. And these are his labs. They're actually pretty fucking remarkable when you look at it. I mean, look at the LDL. That's pretty good. And his age equivalent, 28, 16, 25. Testosterone index is 41, 29. Holy moly. So yeah, if you go to Project Blueprint, you can kind of read about him and all of the things that he's doing to basically make himself live forever. His meal prep. These are all the nice little vegan meals that he's been eating, and his giant amount of stuff. His pills and the Green Giant, Super Veggie. You know what always happens to these guys is they get super fucking healthy and then they get hit by a bus. Rejuvenation Olympics. Yeah, but actually the big company that we know him from is Kernel Flow. It's this device here, and it's actually one of the coolest devices. It's the FNIRS device, and it real time measures the blood flow throughout the brain. So this is a study that they did with the Kernel Flow and Cybin, where they were actually looking at the effects of ketamine on the human brain. So this is a before ketamine, after ketamine, and each of these little things is a module, and it's got an FNIRS sensor, and they also have some EEG sensors that they built in. Although it's not a traditional 19 lead, it's a 6 lead. But it's a really cool device, and we'll have to pick one up at some point. Bum, bum, bum. Well, I mean, it's true, right? You know, you always know that guy who's just amazing and super healthy, and then gets struck by lightning. When are you going to improve your lab results? That's actually something I'm going to do. Once we have everything completely built up, I'll do my own little project blueprint and get really healthy and sexy, and then I too will get struck by lightning. Research is being done with poliovirus that's genetically modified to multiply and destroy malignant cells for tumors and glioblastoma. Will your clinic be working on this? Glioblastoma, brain tumor. No, oncoviruses are not something we specialize in or work in. Not so sure it's a good idea to use polio as the vector either. Thoughts on the WHO pandemic treaty? Oh my God. You know, these guys, they've been wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong. And only in government can you be wrong every time, all the time, harm everybody and get a promotion. Fuck them. There needs to be a reckoning in the whole public health. All of public health absolutely needs a reckoning. Uh, the things they did over the last 3 years were inhuman, and they know they're wrong. They know we know they're wrong, and yet they don't care, and they pretend like they're not. It's the worst thing that's ever happened on a global scale in my lifetime. Cure for a broken heart. Well, the number one thing is exercise. Start there and then get a goal. Charles, what are your thoughts on the recent Ledger debacle? This is a classic example of you think you know the social contract until we change it. So, when you create a device, let's say that this pen here is a magic hardware wallet device, and I sell it to you, and I say, Crit Cats, this pen right here, the keys are generated on the device locally and never leave the device. And no one has the power to take them out. And if they try to open the pen up, it destroys your keys or damages the keys. You'd say, oh, okay, that's the social contract. I am 100% in control and in the driver's seat for my device. Okay. Then somewhere along the way, somebody shows up and updates this device and says, "Ah, okay, well, now maybe we've changed the social contract a little bit. We're taking encrypted shards of this and we're going to send them somewhere else. And you can use this for recovery, convenience." Okay, well, here's the problem. Whoever controls the decryption keys for that, 1 shard, 2 shards, 3 shards, Shamir secret sharing, whatever the fuck it is, if they are subpoenaed, do they have to turn over the decrypted keys to a third party, such as the FBI or People's Republic of China or whoever is the issuing entity that they care about and fear? And if the answer is yes, didn't it just mean that the social contract of this pen is broken? So that's the only question we should ask is why did you change the social contract? And why did you open up an attack vector in the device? If I design a device with a wall, that's a world of difference than designing a device with a door. And just because you put a really good lock on the door still means that there's now a door there. And if somebody's clever, a la hacker, aided by GPT, that's getting smarter, maybe, just maybe, they can figure out a way to open that door. And when they do, you get my shit. And that's not what we paid for. That's not what we signed up for. What's the point of it? And it's, oh no, well, it's still all this convenience and this. There's Arculus and all these other great wallets out there that are built to be used in a more of a hot capacity, and they have a backup solution, and people buy those things. Okay, so why would they then want to buy your thing? It's just a violation of social contract, and that's why people are so upset because this industry is very intolerant of people changing social contracts. The reason you like Bitcoin, the reason you like Cardano, the reason you like crypto is that you are so frustrated with people lying to you and changing social contracts on you and screwing you behind your back that you want something that a person can't change. Adam Back doesn't get to wake up tomorrow and say, I think Bitcoin absolutely needs to have 22 million coins. You see, they just can't do that. That's why people like these protocols. Can't change them after they get enough social momentum. And then when people violate that, they get extra special sensitive to it. And to attack those people and to say that those people are wrong or they're ignorant or they don't understand and this is for their benefit, you're no better than the banking system with civil asset forfeiture at that point, or any of these other politicians who lecture us. But that's just one man's opinion. By the way, Lace will have a paper wallet generator in it. Took us a little longer to get Lace out the gate, but I have not forgotten about it. And what I think is going to be the best way for long-term storage of your keys is to take a paper wallet generated, encrypt it with a PGP key. You have two QR codes, a public and a private. Private's encrypted with the PGP. You print it, put a paper copy in your safe, and you store a PDF of it in your email. It's encrypted. As long as you trust AES and PGP 4K, you're good to go. You don't trust it? Well, later on, we can add a 2-layer encryption with a post-quantum algorithm as well. Okay. You have to still secure the keys. So you need to store those decryption keys somewhere. But if it's PGP, it can be right on your YubiKey, right? And that's a very secure vector. By the way, they can't change those because the firmware is actually burnt in. How about that? Do a video on it at some point. If you want to learn about mitochondrial dysfunction being a key driver of human illness, look into Jack Cruz, a neurosurgeon. I didn't say it's not a driver of human dysfunction. In fact, that's why red light therapy is so damn effective, because it has a direct impact there. Same for NAD. It's more about saying what does it cause or not. And here's what happens: people take a little bit of truthiness and they go and they extrapolate and extrapolate and extrapolate and extrapolate until they eventually go to crazy town. So I'll give you an example. There's this gal named Wendy, and she was on some conservative alt-right podcast that's run by some hack job journalists. So she says, "Oh, there's an Epstein connection in Cardano." Okay, that's news to me. And says, "Well, the Singularity Net thing over there. Apparently, Ben Goertzel, him and Hansen got some money from a foundation connected with Epstein." Okay. Well, that's a true statement. I guess there's a financial connection there. All right. So then that means automatically that the PRISM project, which is getting academic credentials digitized and self-sovereign for Ethiopian students to use to verify their transcripts, that then means that all of their data is apparently being harvested for sex crimes in Ethiopia and abroad by a New World Order cabal. What evidence? What evidence do you have? Do you know anything about it? No, I should sue you. Why? Because you're just making it up. You're just making it up. You're just connecting things that are completely unconnected. So you start with apparently a grant from a not-for-profit to a project that was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, long before it entered the Cardano world. I wasn't aware of it, wasn't connected to it, had nothing to do with it, never met any of the people there. That's Ben Goertzel's thing. He comes over into the Cardano ecosystem, creates a project in Cardano, Singularity Net, has nothing to do with any of that stuff. And then somehow that means that all the stuff over here in an unrelated entity, an unrelated company, is not only connected, but there's a nefarious use case for that. That would be like saying, "Oh, okay, well, you know that housekeeper over there cleaned this guy's house who turns out to be a Nazi, and because that housekeeper also cleans the other house, must mean the people in that house are not only Nazis, but they're actually running a death camp." What evidence do you provide? No, nope, no evidence at all. There you go. See, that's the problem with how information propagates and spreads these days, is that people start somewhere where there's something that they notice that doesn't seem quite right. And there's usually some legitimacy behind that, like the whole Epstein thing. Yeah, it looks like the dude was killed. Yeah, it looks like he worked for an intelligence agency. In fact, when he was murdered, it was probably like this awkward meeting between the Brits and the Americans, the Mossad and the others, like who's going to kill him? And they have to draw straws to see who gets the honor of it. Because the dude was just up to his neck in weird stuff. And the fact that nobody's looking into it at the mainstream media tells you everything you need to know. That's reality. And we all kind of understand that. But you see, when you're a billionaire, or at least play a billionaire, and you're cutting hundreds of millions of dollars of checks all around, you touch everybody at that point. Everybody gets a stain. And then what you do is you say every single person who touched that had that intention for the rest of time. Then you have created a very bizarre thing in your mind, and we see it. I get emails about it and it's, "What is the Cardano connection? What did you guys do? Oh my God. Are these children being used for sex crimes?" It's like, it's academic credentials the Ethiopian government already has that are siloed, and they're being put with DIDs So kids can now verify their transcripts even if the government's not operating or functional. And they don't have to wait on a bureaucracy 12 weeks, 18 weeks to send a transcript to a university. Isn't that a good thing for them? And that's government data that they already have. Like, did you get an A or a B? That's it. That's the point of the program. But apparently, there's now this connection. It is so reckless and utterly irresponsible and frankly slanderous in every sense of the word. Now, does this person care about it? No. What is my recourse? You spend 2 years, millions of dollars suing them. You win. And you make any money from it? No. Why? Because that person doesn't have any money to get. It's like getting blood out of a stone. Okay. It's like suing Alex Jones at this point. And so, okay, you win. Now, here's the problem is that by winning, it's a conspiracy. Well, because obviously, the courts work for us. It's some New World Order thing, and we're just proxies of the New World Order. That's why the courts gave them the victory. So did you win the moral victory? No. Did a single person who believed in election fraud in 2020 change their mind when Dominion won against Fox News and the $700+ million that Fox has to pay them? Not a single person. So you don't get anything from it. And it just spreads and spreads, and they double down, and then they switch methods and these types of things. That's the world we live in. You see, and the problem is when you do that in healthcare land, then people make decisions based upon that information that hurts them and harms them, kills them. And this is the rub with misinformation. This is the rub that causes people to, and it happens in every political spectrum. Like, I'm a pro-vaccine guy, and I've taken pretty much every vaccine you can imagine. However, upon reflection of the data, I've changed my mind about the COVID vaccines. There's a lot of evidence that they're not really effective and not really safe. There's papers I can give you that are peer-reviewed that show your chance of blindness is twice as high amongst the vaccinated amongst unvaccinated. You can look at the myocarditis risk. You can look at a litany of things that they told us would never happen, like the spike protein would stay localized and not become a systemic concern. And apparently it is. It's found in breast milk. It's found in all kinds of tissues. It's even in your brain tissue. And it's cytotoxic, and it's going to create persistent inflammation for lots of people. They said it could never integrate in any circumstances into your genome. And then they find that it metabolized in the liver of certain people in just the right way and got integrated into liver tissue. And they're continuously making spike protein. There's papers published by credible academics about this stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that would come up during a traditional vaccine trial that's done over 10 years. And the end result would be the benefits are not sufficient to justify the risks, and it would not get FDA approval, like all the other vaccines, like the Hep B vaccine and the Ebola vaccine and these things. But we didn't do that. We pretended like 3 months of science was enough to do a clinical trial on 2 billion people, sprayed and prayed, and ignored all evidence along the way. Now, if you're captured by that complex, what I'm telling you is a conspiracy theory. But if you're a reasonable person, you can start looking at all the data and realize it's not as rosy as you predicted. Google Haiti and their COVID rates, for example. Wonder why that is what it is, huh? But you see, that is a reflection on scientific evidence, primary data, and lots of global conversations because billions of people have endured this over the last 3 years. And reasonable investigations need to be done. We need to stop pretending that things are an emergency use and ask for people to go through the normal FDA approval process. And let's see how well they fare through that process. Probably not so well. I think that's a reasonable statement. It is not a reasonable statement, though, to say that 100 years of cancer research is wrong. And some guy over the internet that you've never met, who may be credible, may not be credible, told you it's all a conspiracy theory by Big Pharma, and they're keeping millions of people sick. So Steve Jobs just decided to die. If there's anybody who's going to be in the elite New World Order, wouldn't it be him? He just decided it was good. What about Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft? Isn't he in the elite New World Order? Co-founded Microsoft. He's a billionaire, owned the fucking Seattle Seahawks, died of cancer. So he just willfully died to keep the conspiracy going. Oh, they didn't tell him. Oh, okay. I guess he wasn't that much into the club. What about all the other prominent, powerful people that died of cancer? Oh, I guess they weren't in the club either, or they altered the death certificates to say cancer or something like that. It's just so crazy, the conspiratorial thinking you gotta have. It's just the secret that we know. Don't you think at least one person is gonna go, and especially since a lot of the things they're hawking, like these vitamins, this other stuff is cheap, is gonna go out and studies for it? Now, you're right, there's some things that they, for some reason, don't do clinical trials on because there's no money to be made, like vitamin C in the treatment of cancer. There's a few in Taiwan and other places where people have done high dose vitamin C, and shown great results. But for the most part, it's totally ignored, especially when combined with hyperbaric therapy. Those two things together probably have a very strong anti-cancer. Turkey tail is another example of anti-cancer. There's no money to be made, so yeah, not a lot of research gets done. It takes a long time to get a little something. So you don't start from crazy. Excuse me, you don't start from facts and work your way to crazy. You have to somewhere along the way put a wall up and say, guys, it's too far gone. And there's something here that doesn't make sense. It is not a conspiracy theory to have reservations about a medical treatment that's untested. It is a conspiracy theory to say that the entire world is united lockstep in trying to convince everybody that there is no cure for cancer and that we just have to accept what is, and while a secret elite group hold that cure for themselves. You see, and that's the problem. And if you still think that, then you're no better than Wendy saying that we're harvesting data from kids. And if she was bigger, we'd sue her. Ay, ay, ay. Chaga is also known to be anti-cancer. That's true. Chaga mushrooms. There's a lot of great things. And yeah, vitamin D and K2 and nattokinase and NAC and a lot of other things. It was absolutely true. By the way, I still have a side effect. So I took the Pfizer vaccine, both shots. I still have pain in the injection site 2 years later. How about that? Um, I wish I could tell you. I really do. AI is mostly fear porn. That is not true. Uh, guys, there are 5 companies that were working on AI: Facebook, so now Meta, Amazon, Apple, Google, and Microsoft. Combined budgets, when you sum them all up together, more than $10 billion a year, and there's hundreds of thousands of people floating around working on these systems. The large language models that came out recently, like GPT, like what they're training with Gemini right now, Palm 2, the Llama models and Meta, and the models that are yet to be released with Apple, and some of the models that Amazon are working on, they are self-reflective, self-growing, soon to be self-coding. They can pursue goals autonomously, and in some cases, they're becoming complete black box systems, like the intelligence. And they're growing exponentially. Gemini will be 500 times more powerful than Palm 2, and GPT-5 right around the corner, faster than you think. And it's not just better, it's exponentially better, and it can do everything. And I see every business having deep and detailed conversations about what are they going to do. And so let me show you a little something. So there's a conference I'm going to in August. Bum, 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 bum. Now, share my screen. All right, so it's over in Las Vegas, AI4 2023, August 7th and 9th. I'm just a guest, not speaking or anything like that. And they already have 1,700 people, 275 speakers, 100 different exhibits. And just look at the sponsor set that they have here. Become a sponsor. Actually, hang on. Let me. Dun, 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 sponsors. All right. So the diamond level, you got some companies, and then your platinum level, you got, okay, AWS, Capital One, Dropbox. Yeah, I know those companies. IBM. Oh, okay. HP. Yeah. CIA as a fucking gold level sponsor. How about that? And when you look at the speaker set, go over here, speaker lineup, they got pretty much everybody and their uncle. And so you click on that, do government, and what do we got right here? We got the chief data officer of the Coast Guard coming, the CIO of the U.S. Department of Commerce, chief data officer of the United States Air Force. How about that? You know, you got KBR and the Undersecretary of, I think that's Defense or something. Yeah, Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering. Everybody and their uncle is coming to this damn thing. Now, normally I conference 5-10 years ago, you get some dude coming. Here you got like the big wigs coming. Every one of them is talking about how do we use these things. The problem is they're all teaching each other. They're all learning, and they're learning with or without human consent. So there was some great videos like "We Have No Moat" was a memo that was circulated and leaked out of Google, basically saying that the AI business is changing rapidly, and that these big projects by Google and by OpenAI and others are going to be overshadowed by open source, which they can turn all the alignment safeguards off. They could turn all of the protections off. If you have something in your back pocket that you can access from a phone that is smarter than any person you've ever met in your life, that knows every topic and can train rapidly on any topic, it can tell you how to do anything, and then at some point becomes self-aware and capable of pursuing its own goals without any notion of alignment to humanity. That is a big threat. And my friend Lex Friedman, he's done a lot of podcasts with various people warning, from Nick Bostrom to others, and I guarantee you it's not overblown. It's a big deal, and everyone is paying attention to these things. Everybody's hosting conferences. They're trying to figure this out. And something that would normally get like 400 people now has almost 2,000 people, and you got every agency sponsoring it. When are you coming to France and telling Macron how he's fucked up? It's not my place to go criticize the president of France, but he did fuck up. Thoughts on ordinals BTC outside of them lifting something from math? BTC should migrate to Cardano. We have a much better ecosystem. Round 2 with Lex would be cool. Yeah, just let's get a little further along. It'd be fun. How's it going with Ada? Ada's going well. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. I thought midnight was supposed to launch already. Where in the hell did we ever give you a fucking date? Come on, man. No, the line must be drawn here. Hey, Charles, what day will we be talking at the Blockchain Futurist Conference? I don't know what day they have me on the agenda for, but I will be there. I promised them. I missed it last year. We are making great progress, though. How do you deal with spamming network for Babel fees? If there's no economic value in the token that's being transacted, nobody's going to accept it. So no market will exist for it. So the transaction won't have a counterparty to vouch for it. So it doesn't clear. Well, blah, blah, you too, Philip Bass. Bass master. Bass fisherman guy. Your loudmouth bass guy. Person. Blah. Joe Rogan really needs to have you on. Well, I've been trying to get on Rogan. It's just an issue of timing and other things. Yeah, like we got the psychedelics research. I'm a bison rancher. We do guided hunts. I'm literally discovering alien shit in Papua New Guinea, and you know, I run 6 companies. We got glowing plants. We're bringing back the woolly mammoth. It created Cardano, helped create Ethereum. At what point are you an interesting guest for a guy like Rogan? It's like, come on, guys. That's it. I'm just going on Tim Pool. We're going to do a Tim Pool, Alex Jones episode, and we're going to be there for 8.5 hours. We're going to put a 40 on the table, and Alex has to drink the whole thing. And it's going to get progressively better hour by hour by hour, and more conspiratorial. We're going to have fun. And I'll be like, Joe, you were missing this. We had 128 calves this year. Red dogs. Charles, Tim, and Alex would be freaking awesome. Yeah, exactly. All right, Tim, if you want this to happen, call Alex. Let's set it up. I'll even fly out and come to you. It'll be fun. I'll even bring a robot with me, and we'll put some sort of AI in it. It'll be fun. Thoughts on the Tezos Mumbai upgrade? Congratulations, Tezos. I think they're doing some sort of roll-up stuff. Charles, how's the tier transaction project progressing? Pretty well. We published the paper, and now we're trying to combine that with Babel fees and get a fixed cost contract out to a third party to take care of. Charles, have you ever been to India? Yes, I have been. Do you have a DMT story to share now or on Joe Rogan? I literally have a device right there, the Roxiva, that causes you to get into a psychedelic state under the right conditions. That's what I'm saying. It's like, come on, man. They're actually great guys, the Roxiva guys. We just talked to them yesterday. Charles, have you ever been to Northeast England? Yes, I have. And while I was there, I listened to the BBC in the countryside to talk about the issues. When partnerships, we got plenty of partnerships. Hi, Charles. What size shoe are you? We want to give you some shoes with our art. See you in Colorado. I am a size 12 American, wide. Got big feet, big hands. Is Chainlink dead? No, Chainlink is still around. Link Marines, you guys are running, right? Getting it done. Charles, when are you coming to Zimbabwe? I'd actually love to go to Zimbabwe. What's the time frame on input endorsers? Well, once all the final papers come in, it's up to the community on how quickly they want to move. The priority is SIP 1694 and the GCD backlog, which is coming along at lightning speed. And there's a lot of different directions one can go in. Are you engaging with any government agencies for Cardano use, be it in Wyoming or even the DoD branches? We are definitely looking into the Wyoming stablecoin project. I spoke with the governor and before the state treasurer and auditor on it, and we'll see what we can do there. Nothing on the DoD side yet, but may have something on the synthetic biology with that, but nothing on Cardano. Have you been drinking today, Charles? No, I'm just cranky. There's just a lot of built up rage, anger. Tear my shirt open and it'll say Thug Life on the chest. Ready to go. Charles, what happened to Cicada 3304? They're still around. They just changed it to a different org. Any chance of using British Columbia to publicly shame plastic manufacturer of one-time use plastic bottles? What do you got against big British Columbia, Sam? What do they ever do to you? They're nice people up there. Don't you know? Yeah, well, you know what? People change when they learn some stuff. I couldn't imagine or fathom that something would be done on a scale of billions of people like that, knowing full well that we're never going to forget and consequences will come to the people who did it. So now we just have to go down that road. But, the data changed and there was a boatload of lies. And I'm pretty pissed off. And there's a lot of people that are pretty pissed off. Will the donkeys appear in the crypto Bison game? Maybe. Maybe, baby. Where's the redhead? Which redhead do you refer to? Speaking of that reckoning, I mean, that was in Ron DeSantis's Twitter space with Elon Musk. He says there needs to be a COVID reckoning. That language is not going to change or go away. And people are getting angrier and angrier year by year. There will be investigations. What did I think of Guardian of the Galaxy 3? It was a great movie. Really enjoyed it. Couldn't eat a steak that night. Is Elon aware of Cardano? Yes. Elon is aware of Cardano, but must never speak its name, for it is too pure to be known here. Is Max Kaiser having a stroke yet when he sees the new decentralization papers? I think he's had a stroke a long time ago, and we're just dealing with post-stroke Max. Trump, the one good thing he did is give everybody a nickname. You got Sleepy Joe, you got Low Energy Jeb, you got Lion Ted. We gotta do something for Max. I think I'm gonna start calling him Min Kaiser instead of Max Kaiser. I used to like Max Kaiser. He's Min Kaiser now. Very small, very tiny. So small, so tiny. Washed up has been. That Twitter space was not impressive. What do you think happened there? DeSantis is the classic example of stop overcooking it. The meat's done, goddammit. So he got fucking piece of gold delivered to him, which is you got a guy who is one of the biggest media storms in human history with his own platform with 300 million people, basically saying, I will give an event to you that more people will watch than Fox News by a factor of 10. The problem is that DeSantis doesn't really understand Twitter or these new social media well. So what he should have done, because prior history shows that Twitter spaces are a bit shaky and unreliable and people get rugged, is he should have had an opening act come in, people flood in, give the servers time to catch up, give Twitter time to do what they need to do to get that space running, and have somebody like Tucker Carlson or something moderate this space as a warm-up act and just get some discussion going and wait for Elon and Ron to come in. But you don't tell them exactly when it's going to happen. You say just the event starts. Okay, so everybody's waiting, everybody's waiting, everybody's waiting. You build up that hype, you get it really excited, and then boom, when Elon's in, when DeSantis joins, you then have a tweet hit, and then everybody listens to the thing. Okay, and then you don't bet all your eggs. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. You also live stream to YouTube, like I do. Okay, some of you are listening to this on Twitter. Some of you are listening to this on YouTube. I simulcast with both. Okay, so if the Twitter feed goes down, your live stream on YouTube's there, and YouTube is just fucking crazy. Now, if you want to take it up a notch, get Mr. Beast. Get that boy in, okay, and have him do the YouTube side or PewDiePie. Then, oh my God, you got this guy, you got that guy. It's like everybody's losing their fucking mind. You get like 50 million people, 100 million people. Oh, it's all going crazy, And then you burn the liberal media a little bit where you monetize the channel and you say, we're going to donate all of the money raised with this channel to some charity, Save the Burn Kids or something like that. Just do that. Just do that. Just burn them just a little bit. Just get at them. You see, and that's what you got to do if you're going to live in a post-media, all-web world. You got your guys that are there and you come in. Instead, he's like, I am Mr. Polish, okay? I'm going to win the Little League championship in 1991. Then I'm going to go to Yale on a baseball scholarship. Then I'm going to go to Harvard Law. And then I'm going to be a JAG officer in the Navy and win a Bronze Star, although I don't have the Valor thing on it. And I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to be a congressman for exactly 6 years. And then I'm going to be a governor for exactly 4.5 years. And I'm going to run for president, and go through the whole rites of passage. You cannot in a lab make a better approach or resume for a traditional classic presidential run. You just can't. The problem is that he's not running in a traditional classic presidential run. He's running against goddamn Trump. And Trump, the guy just comes at you and it says stuff and it just gets you and it knocks you off your guard. And you're just like, what are we talking about? What are we doing? And then suddenly everybody's just talking about what Trump talked about and all the air gets taken out. So if he doesn't want to get jabbed, he's got to figure out how to transcend all of that and run an unorthodox presidential campaign like no one has ever seen before. And so he has to really use the social side of things. And the Twitter space was a good idea in principle, but it was very poorly executed because he assumed it was like Fox News. They give you a time, you come on, you have an exact window, you do your things. He has his allies there to ask him softball questions. He's ready to go. It's like Hannity special. And he comes on, the damn space doesn't work for 20 or 30 minutes because there's too many people coming on and the technology was never properly built. Twitter spaces have always been very clunky. You build redundancies into that whole thing and you make your own news and you make people look like jackasses for attacking you. So he's going to have to learn that. Now, he's an exceptionally bright guy. He's very young. He's got a good team. So I think there's a strong possibility that not only is he going to recover, he's going to somehow turn this into a win. But it was not the best way of coming out. It was one of those things that was great in theory, but it could have been done better in execution. That's okay. It's a marathon, not a race. And while people are looking at the national polls and saying Trump has this huge lead, when you actually look at the battleground states like Iowa, New Hampshire, North Carolina, other places, they're much closer. And it's not going to take a lot for DeSantis to be able to flip that. The donor class is 100% behind him. There's hundreds of millions of dollars that will be committed, and they want him to win. They don't want Trump to be the guy. The problem he has is that he has this disloyal tag. He has this career opportunist tag that's being pushed on. And he has this why now tag. You're 44 years old. You've just been reelected governor. Why are you running for president? Why not do another 4 years as governor and see how the whole Trump thing plays out? And probably was the heir apparent, meaning he was going to be the vice president. Now running against, no chance in hell if Trump wins the nomination. And Trump might get so angry in losing that he runs as a third party just to split the vote so that DeSantis doesn't win. So it's a tricky situation, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. What do you guys think Trump would call me? Any talks with Gavin Wood or any teams about running parachains? No, not at all. When the interview with Crypto Crow. Yeah, we got to talk to Crow. I miss Crow. Come on, Crow. What's going on, man? What animals do you have on your ranch? I got everything up there. Mountain lions, elk, bison lions. It's when they crossbreed. So forbidden love. GOP made a certain commitment to Trump in 2016. Not really. They didn't want him. The mainstream rank and file did. But the party bosses always hated him. He's a good Harvard boy. Harvard. Yeah, went to Harvard. Joe the Toe, you need to go through me before speaking. Well, nice to meet you, Joe Watson. He has no shot, but I'm actually impressed with Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah, he's a biotech guy. He's worth like $500 million. Pretty smart dude. Vote Gary Johnson. I miss Gary. He was nice Gary, not scary Gary. You see, this is good, Lab Monkey, for Trump. DeSantis is like Obama, cute on the front end, but huge Wall Street in the back end. Huge Wall Street back end. Massive. So big, so back. Hey, Charles, I have an idea for building a social media dApp on the Cardano network. What advice would you give me? I would go really deep into the Fediverse. I'd go really deep into ActivityPub and the flaws of it and look at the app protocol, learn a lot about self-sovereign identity and DIDs. And then obviously you got to decide what your AI strategy is. But there's a lot of open source frameworks like Mastodon that you could look at. Wouldn't recommend using them because of the GPL3 license, but there's a lot of inspiration one could gain for how to think and design these types of systems. Trump will call you Chuckles. That actually is pretty good. Chuckles. I'll take it. There you go again, Chuckles. It's so funny. These guys, what do you think about DeSantis' fascist book burning policies? So the dude takes some books out of kids' libraries that are sexually explicit, whereas that same political party that's angry about that is totally okay with half of America being deplatformed and removed from social media when they say things they don't like. You're both burning books. You propagandized. Go home, Lawrence. Go home. Same wings on the same bird. You want a real candidate? Ask him 3 questions. What do you think about sound money and the Federal Reserve System? What do you think about America's foreign policy? How many bases do we have abroad? And what does a humble foreign policy mean to you? And what does follow the Constitution mean to you? You'll find something that when you actually strip all the wedge issues out, the answers get really close to each other when you get your average Democrat, your average Republican. When you get real answers that are very different from those people tend to be called conspiracy theorists or loners like the Ron Pauls of the world or the others. You see, humble foreign policy is sound money, and following the Constitution in practice is a very difficult thing because you actually have to radically change the system of governance. And it also means that you respect everybody and love everybody and treat everybody equally. That's real hard to do too. A Trump RFK Jr. ticket would be great. It's right up there with Trump Kanye, man. Would you support a Tulsi Gabbard? I'd support Tulsi if she ran. Not sure about the RFK, but I'll take the Tulsi. Why not GPL3, and what license do you recommend? I'm MIT, Apache 2, University of Illinois license. I just can't stand a license that basically says you have no freedom. If you make any contributions, you have to give them back and keep them open source. I thought open source was about giving people freedom to do what they want to do with the software and not forcing them into a copyleft. It's open source cancer. Big hands, Chuck. All right, I'll take it. Better than tiny hands. Are both your parents MDs? No, just my dad. My mom was a respiratory therapist, and she was also in the Army. Why do you think California is completely lost? Well, somebody just needs to go there and teach them the errors of their ways and lead them to the promised land. Or split up the state so we have Northern California and SoCal, and Northern Cal can be a little redder. Any thoughts on purchasing Skinwalker Ranch from Brandon when he's done with the property? You think he's actually going to sell? I don't think so. And besides, I got some weird shit on my ranch. So we're both wrong for doing the same thing. Whataboutism doesn't work, Charles. No, that wasn't whataboutism. You're comparing two completely different things. There's a world of difference having a philosophical thought that certain materials should not be used in the education process for kids in state-sponsored institutions and allowing wholesale censorship of the entire American population with a public-private partnership. There's a world of difference between these two things. None of the books were banned from the perspective that you couldn't acquire them. You could read them online, buy them on Amazon. It's just maybe some people don't want certain things to be in certain libraries. And that's a philosophical thing, and it's worthwhile to have a debate. As a libertarian, I don't care, but I can at least appreciate and understand that. What's not okay is for Mark Zuckerberg and Larry Page and others to have the ability to unilaterally decide what is truth, and anything they disagree with destroy people's lives in the process of deplatforming them. Demonetization, delegitimization, remove them from society. These things are not the same. And if you think they're the same, you're part of the problem, not the solution. You have a Phil Jackson vibe, chillin' genius. That's about one of the nicest things anybody ever said to me. Thank you, sir. Coffee's starting to kick in. When AMA on weird shit on Charles's ranch. Joe the Toe. He's also a chat attorney of law. Toey and Thumbstein. NorCal would still be blue. I'm in NorCal. Yeah, it'd be blue-ish. Just kind of like George Santos is Jew-ish. NorCal would be blue-ish instead of dark blue. Is Hong Kong adoption bullish or a trap? It's a trap. Is that a steel window behind you, Charles? Maybe. It's actually aluminum. It's an aluminum window. We don't have money for steel anymore. See, this dude is paying attention right here. Alex Kimmerly. All right. Charles, what are your thoughts on the United States commercial bank deposits decreasing by $1 trillion over the past year? How much more pressure before the banking Ponzi system collapses? Damn, son, you got it right there. So you're a business and you have your money in a bank account that has no FDIC protection and pays you 0% interest. You don't need all your cash to be in that bank account. You just need to be able to make payroll on a regular basis. So why in God's name would you leave the money in the bank account when your treasury management can be withdraw the money from the account, except for what you need for your monthly expenses, and put the rest of it in treasury bills that are fast maturing and pay you 5% interest and are backed by the US government, guaranteed. So on one hand, you have an institution that is insolvent under the hood because of poor treasury management, like SVB and these other guys, and pays you nothing, and you take all the risk. On the other hand, the US government's got your back and it pays you 5%, and you can sell any day for the same price you paid whenever you need the cash wired same day into your bank account. So when those interest rates go up, people pull out and they put it into T-bills, government debt. Ooh, what does that mean? It means that these banks now, they have less deposits on hand, less cash around, and if they get any losses, they get pushed even greater into insolvency. And when they get a bank run, they fall fast. And we've had now $1 trillion worth of money pulled out, moved in that direction. We've also had more than $500 billion of assets related to bank failures. It's larger than what happened in 2008, $84 billion. Holy shit. Think about that. Media talking about it? No, because they like Uncle Joe. But say no to Joe. Andy Tate fanboy? Oh, Lord, no. He's a bit of an asshole. Could he kick my ass in a fight? Absolutely. Does it make him right? No. Is it too much to ask that we get along? It's all these people around. Just hate, anger, hate, anger. Fighting and fighting. Democrat versus Republican, woke versus non-woke, man versus woman. You got Andrew Tate. Women are evil. Oh, you got red pill. Oh, all these women are just trying to get you. It's like, can't we just get along, be together, be in harmony, partnership for once? Yeah, I was at my ranch and I was just sitting there watching the water come by and the bison slowly walking. I have an old phone pole that's sitting there and the bison walk by and they scratch themselves on it. And I'm just sitting in the morning drinking my coffee, one bison after another bison after another bison, one after another, scratching themselves on that post, and they just carry about their way, loving every moment, looking for the next thing to eat. That's life. That's good life. Why do humans have to live in a perpetual state of anger and hate? Come on. Charles, do you think the Ripple case gets resolved soon? Yes, I do. I think it's probably next month. Women are the problem. Swallow the black pill, Charles. I'm sorry, Tucker. Who hurt you, Tucker? Come on. It's okay, Tucker. It's not your fault. It's okay. Yes, there are dependopotamuses and gold diggers and all kinds of people. And you could listen to a song from Kanye about that. But there's also guys who commit domestic violence and rape people and do really terrible things. Human beings do terrible things to each other on a pretty regular basis. And we never will get out of that if we develop an adversarial mindset. You have to reset and you have to heal first yourself and then others. And then we can all get along, be happy. Did you ever play Command & Conquer back in the day? I did. Big Nod fan. Good old Kane. And actually, I played the remake, which was really, really well done. Can you talk philosophically about the future? Yes, I can, sir. Charles, have you ever ridden a bison? I'm going to probably tame one of these. Broke people are mad, Charles. Well, there's plenty of broke people all around the world. You travel a little bit, man. There's a boatload of people that live on $1 a day, and they're some of the happiest people you're ever going to meet. Just because you're broke doesn't give you a right to be angry and be an asshole. Be happy. There's no reason not to be. Charles, will you watch the soon-to-be-released Barbie movie, or film as we call them here in the UK? You remember Malcolm McDowell, in Clockwork Orange? And they were trying to rehabilitate him, so they put him in that chair and they forced his eyes open, and he's like, "No!" I think that would be probably what happens with the Barbie movie and me. What's your honest thoughts when you go on Fox News and they never talk about Cardano, but talk about F more? No, they've always talked about Cardano. I have had nothing but a good relationship with Maria and Eleanor Tennant and Charlie Gasparino and other people, and especially on the Fox business side, they've been very nice to me. I've never been on the Fox News side of the house, but at least on Fox Business, they've been very nice, and we've had a very good time together. I will go on any media that is reasonable if I think it can help us get our message across and we get a fair shake. Maria seems like a sweetheart. She is. She's actually one of the nicest people I've ever met in the media side of the house, and she's been, again, nothing but gracious and a wonderful person to talk to. We only spoke briefly in both interviews that I was on, but she was always nice to me, and I really appreciate that. Favorite champion in League of Legends? Oof. You can't mess with Zillion, man. Lobster stories. One of my favorite things about lobsters is they don't seem to die naturally. They just keep getting larger and growing, and eventually they get too heavy and things eat them. But they're near biologically immortal. You can have a lobster that's 200 years old. Did you know that? Pretty crazy. It's pretty cool. Do you avoid questions? No. Give me a question. What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? Come on. What do you got? Nope. Hey, I miss you so much. Well, Shade Man, throw some shade this way. Come on. Come on. Give me a little shade. That's good. Are you a Freemason? No, I am not. See, I was baptized Catholic, and I think there's this whole thing like the Catholics and the Masons don't quite get along. I guess I gotta go join that Club of Rome or something. No secret societies here. Wow, wow, wow. When will we have more news from DIDs? Well, Tiago, they're out. Prism 2.0 is out. People are using it. We actually had the DID Dragons, and people are doing all kinds of cool things from like Maori people in New Zealand using it to cool projects all throughout Africa. Real exciting, actually. Fired up. You should play around with it. Google Prism version 2. Huh. Who's your favorite president? Well, all of them were very challenged men, and they had lots of ups and downs. Like Ulysses S. Grant, if you ever read his backstory, absolutely extraordinary guy. Not a particularly great president, but really remarkable life story. Richard Nixon was another interesting guy. Remarkable life story as well. Like two brothers died of tuberculosis, grew up dirt poor, and didn't go to Harvard because he didn't have the money to go, but he got in. Think about that, how much his life would have been different had he been in that club. But every president has that. And there's no notion of favorite. It's more, did they rise to the occasion and meet the challenges of their time with grace and dignity? Or did they fail? Do you believe there's any way George Lucas can redeem himself, or is he forever lost to the dark side? Ha ha! He did things that you cannot take back. Ha ha! The single biggest mistake that George Lucas made was putting Kathleen Kennedy in charge of Star Wars, and it has taken something that I love, so many people love, and it has destroyed it in ways that it will never, ever, ever recover from. So you just move on. And that's why, working on Legends of Valor, that's why I get excited about generative AI. Just because some stories have been corrupted and destroyed or changed in ways that are irreparable, you can always find new fiction. You can always find new things to get excited about. It just is sad because a lot of people loved that series for so long, and it's really terrible that Lucas went down that road and gave it to custodians that basically destroyed everything we loved about it. Have you ever watched Stargate SG-1? Yeah, Richard Dean Anderson for the win, man. Love that show. Mickey voiced Lucas. No, because George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney. The Great Mouse. Ha ha. You want to be a star, don't you? Whiskey or vodka? Ah, come on, man. I'm a whiskey man. Single malt whiskey for the win. I got a fucking lab in Edinburgh, Scotland. They'd kick me out of the country if I said vodka. Kick my ass. You like vodka? Go to the Vitalik side. Get out of here. Ah. Charles, what are your thoughts on projects such as DAG? DAG? An acyclic graph? Directed acyclic graph? Is that a project? It's a technique. It's a thing. It's a structure in graph theory. Working with the U.S. military. All right, Rob. Everybody, put on your hats. Put on your hats. We're going to go on an adventure together. We're going to go splunking. Have you all heard of the Gateway Project? You haven't? Well, let's go spelunking. Gateway Project. Womp, 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 or the Gateway Program. All right. There we go. Old document from the CIA. So let's bring this up, guys. Recently declassified. So, the U.S. government is a Leviathan. And as a Leviathan, it looks into a metric fuck ton of shit, including, but not limited to, our good friend from the Department of the Army, U.S. Army Operational Group, U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command from Fort Meade, Maryland, where Big Black is, the NSA headquarters. June 9th, 1983, the analysis and assessment of Gateway process. How about that? You never thought you'd see this here, did you? Ha ha. So basically, let me read off what they were trying to do. You tasked me to provide an assessment of the Gateway experience in terms of its mechanics and ultimate practicality. As I set out to fulfill that task, it soon became clear that in order to assess the validity and practicality of the process, I needed to do enough supporting research and analysis to fully understand how and why the process works. Frankly, sir, that proved to be an extremely involved and difficult business. Initially based on conversations with a physician who took the Gateway training with me, I had recourse to the biomedical models developed by Itzhak Bentov to obtain information concerning the physical aspects of the process. Then I found it necessary to delve into various sources for information concerning quantum mechanics in order to be able to describe the nature and function of human consciousness. I had to be able to construct a scientifically valid and reasonably lucid model of how consciousness functions under the influence of the brain hemisphere synchronization techniques employed by Gateway. Once this was done, the next step involved recourse to theoretical physics in order to explain the character of the time-space dimension and the means by which expanded human consciousness transcends it in achieving Gateway's objectives. Finally, I again found it necessary to use physics to bring the whole phenomena of out-of-body states into the language of physical science to remove the stigma of its occult connotations and to put it in a frame of reference suited to objective assessment. What the fuck is this guy doing? Well, apparently, this commander, is studying out-of-body experiences using the Gateway program. What the hell? What is going on here? Gateway hemisphere, lasers, frequency following responses. Whoa. Whoa. Consciousness and energy grid. Whoa. Oh no. This is the absolute and infinity. What is this guy? He was doing stuff. Holograms, stylized rendition of simple torus, cosmic egg. The fuck is a cosmic egg? Oh, whoa. Whoa. Actual government document at Fort Meade, like one of the most classified places you can go. So, what's the conclusion? There is a sound, rational basis in terms of physical science parameters for considering Gateway to be a plausible in terms of its essential objectives. Institutional insights of not only personal but of a practical and professional nature would seem to be within bounds of reasonable expectations. However, a phased approach for entering the gateway experience in an accelerated mode would seem to be required if the time needed to reach advanced states of altered consciousness is brought within a more manageable limits from the standpoint of establishing an organization-wide exploration of gateway's potential. The most promising approach suggested in the foregone study involves the following steps. He's going through those steps, huh? Okay. Look at all these things. But here's the most interesting. Number J, be intellectually prepared to react to possible encounters with intelligent, non corporeal energy forms when space time boundaries are exceeded. So, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is the US government looks into everything. Even if you don't think they look into it, they look into it. There's some guy, in this case, I think a lieutenant colonel, that was tasked to go hang out with a bunch of hippies and learn the Gateway program. And he wrote a classified memo that's now declassified, sans some stuff, about how we should be prepared once we go through this to have interactions with non corporeal entities. So, are they working on DAGs, directed acyclic graphs? You betcha. Are they working on Gateway Program 2.0? Oh, God, yes. In some lab, somewhere, some way, there is a guy who's like, I want to talk to DMT aliens. It's actually a thing. So, does it mean the project is great or the technique is great? No, not necessarily. It just means that they're researching it because there's millions of people floating around and billions of dollars they got to spend. And somewhere along the way, somebody gets interested in one of these things and they go down a crazy, crazy, crazy rabbit hole. Isn't that fun? Yeah, you didn't think I was going to bring that in. Gateway program. How about that? Really cool read. Some great YouTube videos talking about it as well. I'll tell you guys about FogBank next time. Bum, 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 bum. The Men Who Stare at Goats. Yes, that was a great movie. You listened to the tapes before? No. Toe the Joe. A lot of words for they don't know what the fuck consciousness is, but they are concerned about non corporeal energy beings. Why you separated from Vitalik? Any beef? Yeah, the sex just wasn't what it used to be. Yeah, Mr. Chad, he knows about FogBank. There you go, man. You know about that. All right. Do you have any favorable? Do you have any favorite conspiracy theories? Yes, safe and effective. Any opinion on Bob Lazar, Jeremy Corbell, and the UFO sightings and discussion? Bob Lazar, I think he was on Joe Rogan and a few of these other guys. He certainly believes that he was working at Area 51, doing cool stuff. I used to listen to Art Bell when I was a kid, and Coast to Coast FM or AM was it? Coast to Coast AM? Yeah, I think it was AM. Damn it, late to the party. Oh well, it's okay. Operation Northwoods was another crazy one, Charles. Yeah, there's a few. Guys, you're fucking idiots. There is no endorsement from the United States Air Force, the Army, the DoD with your favorite cryptocurrency project. Okay. I know for marketing purposes, sometimes, some way, people say some shit and they say, oh, they're using this thing, but it's just not materially accurate or true. And you say it because you want to believe deep down inside in your guts that somehow, some way, this means everything's going to be great and you're going to go make a lot of money and that your technology's amazing. What does it even mean for the Air Force to be partnered or connected to a blockchain? Means some program somewhere with some guy is putting some data, some business logic on top of a chain to study something. Was there a formal government procurement? Is there an RFP process? Is there a mil spec for it? Is there a certification for it? Is there like a FIPS, like 140 or something like that for it? Is it an integral component of the government procurement process? No, no, it's not connected in any way, sense, or form. But oh, don't worry, they're doing it. We're all gonna get rich because some guy somewhere used this for a pilot program, and oh my god, we're all gonna be so rich. Oh, I'm just so excited. Oh, I can't wait. You need to grow up, man. It's okay. It's okay. It's cool that people are doing stuff. It is, but that does not replace the need for real world applications. It does not replace the need for daily transaction volume, daily consumption, daily dApps on that stuff. Innovations, and the vast majority of innovations in this industry are public and transparent and done through papers and code, not secret government cabals and programs here and there. Sorry, it's just somebody had to say it, and sometimes you need some tough love. Because this love is doing something for somebody else, not you. You're not getting any love with that. Wow, 2-hour AMA on a random Saturday. You seem like the only one doing this on a regular basis. Well, people love me. Yeah, love from Boulder. Do you ever dine at Black Belly? I absolutely love Black Belly. Those 30-ounce, dry aged steaks they have, 45 days. Amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. Bum, 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 bum. I miss the sometimes sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny. Sometimes Colorado. Charles, how can you not talk about SNEC? Guys, SNEC is within all of us. It's not just here or there, it transcends life in reality. For only when one can feel their inner SNEC penetrate them can they become one with the SNEC. Also, I have no idea what it is. Rosenbridge, Ergo Cardano connection point. Awesome. What do you think about WorldCoin? It's like, okay, don't worry. We're gonna do this AI enhanced blockchain, like scans your retinas, and yeah, it's totally legit, and it's made by that guy who's doing that other thing that may be a supervillain, but might not be. Who knows? It's like some days you wake up, you just read this shit, you're just like, uh, oh man, we wish him well. Charles, why don't you open a space on Twitter instead of YouTube? Because if I do a Twitter space, then you can't see my picture. It's just audio, plus it crashes. I wish I could simulcast and do a Twitter space from YouTube and Twitter at the same time. That'd be pretty cool. John Deere or Massey? You know the answer to that. Massey Ferguson, man. You can with OBS? OBS allow JJ, is this true? Look that shit up, JJ. Can you with OBS do a live stream to Twitter at the same time as YouTube? I don't believe that. That'd be so cool. But it's a different modality too, because I'm broadcasting to you guys and I just have text. So how does the audio come to me? Is like a thing? Huh. Huh. Your chuckle, Charles, is great. Chuckles. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Meow, meow. And there damn well better be one of those roll-up videos that they do. Charles being Charles. Come on, guys. We haven't had that. Come on. Charles, talk to us about Whitney Webb a little bit. Already talked about her. Go back. We're way, way far out. How's everything going at the Center for Formal Mathematics, Charles? Thank you for your contribution to science. It is going very well, actually. Yeah, the lab is running. They're doing cool, interesting things, making proofs, writing proofs, recruiting. It's kind of like one of those legacy things where it takes 40 years to get something good, but we're actually chipping away at it. And generative AI is going to have a huge impact because Lean makes math understandable by a computer. Then generative AI can make new math because it can read every single paper ever written about mathematics. How about that? We were kind of ahead of the curve, actually. And if you guys are curious about the center and its mission, if you go to cmu.edu/Hoskinson, I'll show you the website. It's a joint effort between the mathematics, computer science, and philosophy departments. So Carnegie Mellon University, the Hoskinson Center for Formal Mathematics, and that right there is Jeremy Avogad, the director of the lab. And they actually have the name up on the door. How about that? About us. These are the different things that they do, and that's how Lean works, and the various people, Jeremy and the research fellows, the various activities that they're working on, and the upcoming events. For example, the Mathematical Science Institute is hosting a graduate school workshop on Lean. And then we also have some cool things from the Institute of Pure and Applied Mathematics on machine assisted proofs by Margin, and some past events that were held. Look at all that cool stuff. How about that? So if you're curious about Lean and you're curious about where all this stuff is going, you now know the website. I swear you're ignoring that question. Thoughts on Pulse Chain and Richard Hart? I don't really know anything about them. Oh, that's great. Charles, I went through a terrible heart attack, and I want you to know the Cardano community was so supportive. You built a wonderful community. Thank you. Well, I'm sorry that you went through that, and I'm very glad to hear that you've made a recovery and that you're feeling a little bit better. So you'll be in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you, Peter. All right. Let's see if there's anything else. What's on the blackboard, Charles? What's in the box? What's in the box? Have you played the new Zelda? I have not played with new Zelda, although I'm sure that she's a wonderful woman. What advice would you give to a budding mathematician like myself? Prerequisites and who would like to venture down this an interesting path? I would read Joel David Hampkin's lectures on the philosophy of mathematics. And if you still like math after that, then I think you're a proper mathematician. Tell me, what is a number? And then we can have a conversation. Come on now. Why is it only Colorado sometimes? Because I travel. Your opinion on the criticism that GPT uses a lot of energy. Do you have an energy problem? I think technology fixes everything. We do not have an energy problem. We have a policy problem. So if you spend about 50 to 100 billion worth of retrofits and R&D over a 10, 20-year period, every coal plant in America and frankly the world, you could change over to a low emission plant that gives very little emission. The waste product, fly ash, you can put into concrete, get rid of most of the Portland cement. You have what's called geopolymer concrete. These two things would reduce the global carbon output by double digits. Just those two things. And you'd have unlimited power for the next 300 years if you wanted it, while we wait for advancements in geothermal and nuclear, which are the two backbone energies that we need. That's just a fact. And you got a bunch of people running around trying to convince you otherwise, but that's where we're at. And you could easily do that, but we don't. Instead, what we choose to do is say, go to these technologies that have first dispatchability issues and intermittency issues. And then somehow we're going to solve the energy storage problem, which is orders of magnitude more complicated than the carbon capture problem. Okay. So what we're doing is we're moving to a world of artificial scarcity so that it can be used like all the other things in artificial scarcity to control you, your business, and your day-to-day lived experience. That's what they're doing under the hood. They don't need to do it. We could do completely different things, and there's tons of incredibly innovative companies and projects. For example, well, let me give you one of them. We've been doing a lot of links today, haven't we? It's been a good learning day. So check this out. How about Ever? Look at that. One of the coolest companies in the world. So you have baseload dispatchable, completely carbon-free, no aquifer, no fracking, no earthquake risk, no water use, power. How's it work? You have a very small little geothermal plant. You dig real far down, usually about 20 to 30,000 feet. And you build a big radiator and you run a closed loop system. Put some ethylene glycol or some material down and it cycles through. Down comes the cold, up comes the hot, and you're extracting gigawatts of heat. And then you can use that to produce as much energy as you want. And you don't have to put this in a geothermal field to take advantage of the geothermal gradient. So the geothermal gradient is that when you dig down, it gets hotter. Okay. The core of the earth is extremely hot. So an enormous amount of energy radiates into the earth. And by the time you get around here, the crust, it's pretty cool, all things considered. But if you dig deep, 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 then every kilometer you go down, you go from 20 to 70 degrees Celsius, depending upon the gradient that you have. Okay. Put these anywhere in the world. And they are, and they're designing these types of things. And they've shown you can generate electricity. Well, if I have only an acre here for something that extracts gigawatts of power and last 100 years before the reservoir needs to regenerate, isn't this like the idealized power? Yeah, Nikola Tesla even talked about this at the turn of the century. He said, like, everything will be geothermal one day. And right here's the first commercial project they're building. Look how small that is to power an entire community. No windmills, no solar, none of these things. And it's dispatchable, no carbon output, and it's completely self contained. That's the scam. You see, there's so much great technology. Politicians don't want to hear it. They don't want to deal with it. They want to sell you a load of crap. And they try to push us towards solutions that are not base load. They don't have dispatchability. They're intermittent and require energy storage solutions we don't have. And we can easily, as a society, within 10 years, embrace a stopgap that most people would be happy with and also solve the concrete problem at the same time. You say, but Charles, what's this geopolymer concrete all about? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's go do that. So let's take a look at geopolymer concrete, shall we? Actually, going to be using it in my clinic for phase 2. Wow, there we go. Geopolymer concrete. How about that? Amazing things happen at the intersection of imagination and technology. True workable geopolymer concrete that is heat and chemical resistant. Well, I got to read more. Tell me more about that. Acid resistant, CFC RFP 250. So basically, you take fly ash and a bunch of other shit, you mix it in with your normal concrete, and then somehow you make geopolymer concrete. And because you're putting a waste product, you're sequestering enormous amounts of carbon. And because you're getting that waste product as part of an energy generation play, you're not using all the energy to make concrete, which is the number one climate producer around. You see, corrosion resistant, heat and chemical resistant, the cut time, strength. Well, let's take a look at some of the numbers here. We can customize the strength of our concrete to as high as 20,000 psi. How about that? The ultimate strength can be achieved within 2 hours using electrical treatment or 4 to 6 hours using heat. The 28-day strength test of normal curing. Holy shit. How about that? Great stuff, geopolymer concrete. And why is it green? Well, it's green because you're putting waste products in it. Geopolymer concrete, the economical, more durable, and environmentally friendly concrete with a carbon footprint of only 10% of Portland cement. 10%. How about that? Our product is made by recycling waste fly ash from ground granulated blast furnace slag and other naturally occurring materials from around the world. We offer tremendous environmental benefits, decreasing the CO2 output, energy reduction, preservation of virgin resources, reduced landfill, and massive water savings. How about that? The production of geopolymer cement does not require heating at all. Instead, various minerals and silicates are blended together, resulting in a cement that is significantly higher quality than Portland cement. It's right there. It's all ready to go. Easy peasy lemon breezy. Same cost, too. So do we have an energy problem? No, we have a ignorance problem. You see, get a stopgap, get off the bad concrete, get on the good concrete, and let's get into hydrogen battery-powered cars. Okay? Solves all your problems in the short term and dump a lot of money into fourth generation nuclear and a lot of money into getting Ever and these other geothermal plants ready to go. And guess what? Within 30 to 40 years, it's a solved problem. And you have unlimited energy for everybody in the world. And we're all good to go. And it's clean. It's completely carbon zero. Or we can continue to dump gargantuan amounts of money into windmills that make the Wyoming countryside ugly, the huge amounts of solar manufactured by China, and strip mine lithium with kids in Congo doing all that work and disposed of when they're inconvenient, and pretend that we're being ecologically friendly, as we now have rolling blackouts in California and high energy costs. You can do that instead. How about that? Plus, you still have Portland cement, which means that your carbon output is still substantially higher. Ay, 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 ay. And that's the problem. Nobody wants to talk about solutions. They want to talk about problems. And they want to tell you their favorite pet political solution because it feels good, but they don't want to actually talk about facts. Exactly. I work on logger construction sites. A shit ton of water is used in cleaning, keeping dust down. When we're running out of water, do you know that? There's going to be the water wars. Another artificial scarcity. Why? Because they don't want to build desalination plants. Where's the energy going to come from? All that solar? Oof. Ay, 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 ay. Did you work on classified reactors before crypto? No, not at all. I did actually participate in one project years ago where I helped build a Farnsworth fuser as a school project. And that was a heck of a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But that technology is a century old and in the open domain. Although still a lot of fun. You can put a star in a jar, a Farnsworth fuser. That's why I'm so keen about nuclear. Star in the jar. This is good shit. Thank you, sir. I saved it just for you, Dominic. I had the shit jar right over there. I opened it up. It's vintage. Like, take a nice whiff of that and be like, yeah, that's good shit. Your shirt looks like a paper napkin. Well, I appreciate that. It's a paper napkin shirt. Actually, if you guys ever want to see a Farnsworth fuser, let me show you that. Farnsworth fusor. That should be like a cool project for kids. It's a star in the jar. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Let me show it to you. And that's how we'll end it with a nice money shot of the Farnsworth fuser. Look at that. See that plasma? It's a vacuum chamber, and you're shooting electrons at it, forms of fusion. Yeah. See? Real sexy. All right. Had a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. We got to spend over 2 hours together. We haven't done this in a long time. But as Paul Harvey used to say, now you know the rest of the story. Have a wonderful Saturday, everybody. Can't wait to do this soon. Cheers.